Instead of calling this one Misery Tuesday, I'd rather say it's Bounce Back Tuesday for the Washington Commanders after a tough L in Green Bay. We got a lot of injuries and some more stuff to talk about. Let's get to it. What it do and what's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? As we turn this page from week 2 to week 3 of the NFL season, we have so much to discuss, and I know we're going to get to it very early about the Jayden Daniels knee gate in DC. But how you doing this morning, Late?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I am wonderful, man. Week 3, we scouted our opponents last night watching the Raiders play football, and it makes me feel pretty content either way that things go this week. But it was a tough one on Thursday Night Football, and we have to touch on it as we transition week 2 into week 3. You were there at Lambeau taking some phenomenal pictures, by the way. Had your best stuff on. Boy, was clean at Lambeau Field. What was the mood in the press box during that one on Thursday Night Football?
Bafflement. Because it didn't look like the team that we've seen over the last year and a half. To me, I think that was the worst outing in the Dan Quinn era. It lacked life. It lacked, energy. The schemes were terrible. It just wasn't a good setup. So I think a lot of people were surprised by what they were seeing.
Yep. And there always are days like this. Every team has them. Come on now. The team that won the Super Bowl last year, they were struggling before the bye week, and they came out the bye like world beaters. It happens. Quarterbacks have bad days. Teams have bad days, and it was a collective bad day for the Washington organization, and I think they ran into a bit of a buzzsaw at Lambeau. This is one of the hottest teams in the league, fresh off a major shifting acquisition of Micah Parsons, and boy, did he give Jayden Daniels and our offense hell on Thursday night.
Yeah, he was all over the place. That's what he does. And, Green Bay already had a really good defense. They had a top 5 unit, and then they're getting this player. So you saw, what they did to Detroit in week 1. And, I was thinking that maybe a more mobile quarterback would fare better, naturally, Jayden. And
we all did.
they still, they were all over the place. You don't even have to get into perhaps the worst part of their defense, which is the secondary. You don't even have to get into that, because that defensive front is so relentless and the speed is there. And then you have Edgerrin Cooper, running around as well. I mean, they're a loaded football team, and the better team won that football game.
Yeah, definitely the better team won that game, and I hope we get to see them later in the season sometime in January so we can run that back. But not even going to bury the lead before we get into the nitty-gritty and some of the details of the game. The quarterback sprained his knee early in the fourth quarter of that game on a play where Jeremy McNichols and Josh Connerly were trying to chip and team block Micah Parsons. He gets through immediately. Jayden has to get out of there and escape. And as he turned the corner, he took a low hit to his knee. And now that we know he has a sprained knee, I don't imagine we're going to get too many details about what exactly it is, which ligament, is it the PCL, is it the LCL? But fans are having PTSD. They're having 2012 war flashbacks. And what are your thoughts on the matter as we sit here on Tuesday afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, it was, and I do have to tell you on your show, because I know you reached out to me and asked me as far as Jayden. And so it was, I do want to shout out my colleagues who travel, obviously, like I do with the team, and as far as the away games. And we all saw Jayden limping. Make no mistake about it. All of us, to a man or to a woman, actually saw him limping into the presser. And, I asked him, though, was he good? And he said, I'm okay. And then he got up on the presser, the podium, and first question, how you feeling? The knee or whatever. And he said, I'm good. Just like that. Now that was that. Maybe the adrenaline hadn't, worn off. So the pain wasn't real yet. But, I say all this because it was intentional not to put that out by
Yeah.
myself or any
Mhm.
colleague, because this team is really, hell bent on keeping a lid on things and
Mhm.
keeping things close to the vest, and, until you really know every detail. And it got out, it got out, and someone mentioned it who's never on the road or anything like that. And not to stir a buzz nest, hornet's nest with that, but a lot of us weren't happy about that. I'm just gonna
Yep.
say that to you, as far as that getting out. One thing you do know about Jayden is that he's the ultimate competitor, and one thing you know about Jayden is, I'll say it for him. He keeps notes. He keeps receipts.
Yeah,
And
he definitely does.
you remember last year, oh,
Mhm.
he's not playing against Chicago. He's hurt. Blah blah blah. And all he does is play in that game, throw a 70-yard Hail Mary with broken
Mhm.
ribs.
Yep.
And I'm just saying, I think he's playing Sunday. I know it's a
Ooh.
little early for that, but
Ooh.
I think he's playing because I just know that dude, man. And he's one thing I can say vehemently, none of these guys want to have the taste of what they had Thursday night in their mouth for a long
Mhm.
time. you know,
Yep.
you don't want the last thing you put on tape and in front of your fans on national television to be that stinker, because they laid an egg. They flat out did. It was the worst I'd ever seen them in the new era, the new regime. So I think a lot of people want to get that taste out their mouth. Just move on, get on to the next. And I think he's one of them. He did have 2 touchdowns. Everyone said he had a terrible football game
I mean, the stats they started to accumulate even past the
late in the
point
game.
of a competitive point of the game. But that type of game, I don't care about what anyone's stats look like because no one really played well. There are a couple guys that can get a hat tip or two based on how they played, but it was a lot of bad performances, and that's including the quarterback. I know me personally, I had to go back and watch the game again because I thought it was more of garbage time when he got hurt. He actually got hurt when we were still trying to get this thing down to one possession at the start of the fourth quarter, but adrenaline and just gamer pushed him through the rest of that game. But we all saw him limping, and it's crazy. He rolled the hell out of his ankle. It surprised me when they put out this information about the MRI that it ended up being the knee, but I did remember seeing him get his knee hit on that play, and it was an awkward landing.
Man, it was almost, to me, take your pick on when it happened.
Mhm,
Because they were battering and beating up on these guys all night,
mhm.
man. I mean, they were coming in waves at him, and they weren't going to let Jayden beat them. They weren't going to let him be the single man to put that cape on, which we've seen so many times, last year. And even at times in the Giants game to open the season, he put the cape on and made plays when he had to. They weren't going to allow that to happen. And
Yep.
yeah, so he got beat up. But I'll say this: 42 dropbacks. That's not going to get it done, man.
Mhm.
You
But but in the light that we view Jayden, if we gotta drop him back 42 times, we needed to look significantly better than it did on Thursday.
100%. You don't want to get that guy killed out there
Yeah,
42 times against a relentless pass rush.
that's scary.
That's not the strategy that's needed. For whatever reason, Cliff just did not want to stick to the run. And I know what my eyes were seeing up in that press box. Um, Bill was running effectively when they handed him the ball.
But they only gave it to him 4 times, and that we're gonna get to that in just a second for sure.
Yeah, so I'm like, if you putting all your hopes on Jayden again, I thought that was the reason why all these moves were made in the offseason, trading for Debo,
Mhm.
drafting Jalen Lane, drafting Josh Connolly at tackle, trading for Laramie at left tackle. My thing is, I thought all these moves were to make life easier for Jayden, not still make him have to go into the phone booth and change if you're going to have any chance.
Mhm. You're leading 3 rushers, including the quarterback, who's one of his superpowers is running the football. Everyone having 17 yards is not gonna get it done. The running back that has the most potential to break a big play, only having 4 carries, not going to get it done. But going from the quarterback to the offensive coordinator, because it was not a good game by Jayden Daniels, and it was equally not a good called game by Cliff Kingsbury. The lack of running the football. My biggest gripe for Cliff Kingsbury is on the 3rd and 4th down plays in this game. Our playmakers were not on the field or not target. It was one or the other. It was either we weren't looking at Debo or Terry, or they weren't on the field on 4th down. We're running isolated slant routes to Jaylen Lane on 4th down in man cover. It was either Tulane or Noah Brown or Zach Ertz. That's not going to get it done. We just paid Terry a boatload of money. How the hell is he not on the field on 4th down, Lake?
Man, let me tell you, when I saw Terry coming off on that 4th down play,
Yeah.
I don't know if I got loud in the press box or not, but I wasn't. I was just like, what are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
Your best weapon is not on the field, and you need this. You have to have this play.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't understand it. I still don't understand it. I don't care what any excuse is. There's no rhyme or reason. You're not going to see Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors out of a game on a 4th down, especially late in the game too. It just didn't make any sense to me. And the other thing is, yeah, they're bracketing the hell out of Terry. They're Tampa 2ing him every week now. And I think that's been like the blueprint on Terry now. Okay,
And that
you got
comes
to
with the
double team.
territory. Yeah.
But you know what? If they're doing that, then Cliff, come up with something else to get the man open. Put him in motion. Just not keep him on one side of the field standing stationary the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Mix it up. Put him in motion like you do with Debo. I mean, you got to be more creative here, because for whatever reason, this offense this year, with more weapons, more toys, looks like it's just not aggressive at all. It's almost like it's a bare bone vanilla structure right now, and I'm surprised by it.
The whole play calling and decision making from the offensive coordinator and the quarterback, it looked very afraid. We looked very afraid of that buzzsaw of a pass rush that Green Bay had. It seemed like the entire plan was to try to not get killed by the pass rush, even though we ended up getting killed by it, rather than attacking the defense. And it was just bad decisions all around the board. They were zoning us up, and we had no answer for it. And on days where the quarterback is struggling and they're getting after him, you need guys to make plays. Jayden finally makes a couple good throws. You know who drops them? Noah Brown drops them. He drops another couple passes, and now, per usual, he's injured again, and he's going to miss some time. We've seen it happen every season of his career. We cannot depend on guys like Noah Brown. So if you can't depend on Noah Brown, we target Terry once a quarter. Debo is hooping when he actually gets the ball in his hand, and Zach Ertz has to show yak, and he's not even a yak type of player. It's like, what do you do offensively when you have nothing going at that point?
Well, I think what I would have done is I would have tried to establish the run a little bit more, and I would have ran the ball directly at Micah. Because the thing is that whenever you have these great pass rushers, which this team is getting every week, and they're going to get it this week, Max Crosby, you can't let those guys just tee up, man. You can't let them, be able to take a play or two off in a sequence, because you're not running at them. You've got to make those guys work. And I mean, work every play. That's how you neutralize those kind of talents. And it just seemed like they tried to do everything away from Micah, knowing that he's going to track you down. That's what he does. It just, I don't know. I agree with you, Rio. I think, and I hate to use that word, but it did seem like Cliff had been calling that game kind of scared. I don't see why they just didn't use the same game plan they used against the Giants in week 1. I mean, the Giants have that relentless front, that's always going to be coming at you. And they mixed it up. They had Debo going in motion. They ran the bubble screen to the opposite side of the field, which, by the way, I'm getting tired of seeing that play. They've got to attack down the field, and they just didn't do it. And you could see Green Bay's defense from the press box. You could see that defense moved all the way up, like their corners pressed. They had a guy over Terry, but everything else was closer to the line of scrimmage, because they were going to come at Jayden. They felt like no one's going to have enough time to get open. So maybe that's a thing in itself right there.
Hell yeah, man. It was a tough watch, man. Not only did Cliff coach scared, I saw fear in Jayden's eyes a couple times. That pressure got to. I said, "Not my goat, not my goat." It just shows you that these quarterbacks, everybody goes through a day where you see fear because that defense is relentlessly attacking you, and it looks like that defense looked at Jayden's college tape and said, "All right, bet he likes to run to his right, and he does not. He takes longer to hit his reads on the middle of the field." Those were the two things I noticed. They spammed defenders to take away him running to the right or escaping to the right and forced him back left, and they made him have to see the middle of the field. And Jayden left some shit out there on the middle of the field. And this is not an attack of our quarterback. This is critique. You think Jayden's elite. I think Jayden's elite. We think he's one of those guys, so we have to call it when we see it. He didn't see the field like he needed to, and they took away his escape hatch to the right side, and that presented major problems for our defense on Thursday night.
You know what this is starting to remind me of, Rio, is Kansas City and how that cloak of invincibility is gone off Patrick now. It's gone. I mean, people aren't afraid to play Kansas City because they know Patrick Mahomes was the guy that would just kill you and, death by 1,000 cuts from him.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have any weapons. And what's starting to happen is teams are like, you know what? We're going to come at him with the kitchen sink every play and dare somebody to make a play. And I think that's the blueprint for Washington, man. I think, people are going to come at Jayden in waves. They're going to blitz him even more and force him, like you said, to go to one side and force him to come back into the teeth of the defense. And that seems to be the game plan. I know a lot of people have different variations of what they think you do to beat Washington now. But the bottom line is this is where Cliff, as the coordinator, has to be more creative. He has to find a way because they have toys. Make no mistake about it. It's not like the garage is empty. They've got 2 Pro Bowl receivers, one coming off a record-breaking year last year.
Yeah, that's why it's crazy to think that both of those guys would be off the field on a 4th down. I was ready to jump through my damn TV late.
Bro, I couldn't believe it. I literally said, unless they both checked out at the same time, which we know isn't true. That did not happen. I don't understand it. I mean, you're outthinking yourself here. I mean, did you just, wave the white flag? I don't know. But it looked to me like this team couldn't get out of the way of its own shadow, played its worst game, but yet you look up and it's in the 4th quarter and it's 17-10. And the Packers have played about as well as they could play.
Yep.
I just, that's when you gotta, you gotta go for it, man. You've got to be more aggressive. Not to stray here, but the other thing too, man, you kicking 58-yard field goals with a guy that can't hit an 8-yarder. I'm like, where's the aggressiveness that this team showed all of last year, man? It was
that's the major point. That's my biggest takeaway through 3 weeks is we don't have the same belief in going for it as we had last year. It feels like our identity's been lost through 2 weeks.
That's a great point, Rio. And that's what, someone did ask me that actually. What's the identity of this football team? And I'm like, I don't know. Because last year it was go for it, man. Let's just see what happens,
Live by the gun, die by the gun, man. We don't feel like we got that type of swagger right now, late.
They don't. They really don't. That's lacking. And it just is the body language of guys just doesn't look like it's there. And I understand last year, week 3 is when it all clicked for him, against Cincinnati. Yep. And you're hoping that that's the case this year. Maybe this week against the Raiders, it all makes sense and it all comes together. But I can safely say this. You go back to last year, even in the Tampa loss in week 1, they still were moving the ball up and down the field on Tampa's defense.
They couldn't figure out a damn thing versus the Green Bay Packers on Thursday.
That's what I'm saying. And then that's week 2 last year against the Giants. They had the 7 field goals from Austin Cyber, but they still were moving the football. I didn't see any of that on Thursday. That was, like I said, man, that was about as bad and poorly played and coached as you're going to see these guys. And that's what I'm hoping, that competitiveness oozes out of them for this Raiders game, because I'm not in panic mode by any means. I'm not worried. I still think they're still one of the better teams out there. I truly believe that. But if you come out and you don't look like that against the Raiders, who are going to be a much better football team, it's not the Raiders that when you saw the schedule come out, you penciled in, oh, well, at least we know this is a win.
Don't look too hard. Don't look too hard at that game last night, then, man.
That's what I'm saying. What I saw last night, I mean, I did see Justin Herbert, looking great, but the Raiders clearly look like a physical football team. They clearly look like they're a better coach football team than what we've seen over the past few years. So, Pete Carroll, Dan Quinn, trust me, they know each other. So those are those tendency things that you're going to have to keep an eye on. But they have to come out, man, and play football here and play aggressive. And they keep talking about fast and free and physical. I haven't seen it. So
we ain't been fast, free, or physical. So we 0 for 3 on the test right now.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the time to show it, because if you come out this week and lay an egg, then it's going to be room for alarm, because we already knew they were going to have a tough schedule, and it's not going to get any easier. I mean, but the NFL is, if anything, we've seen, no matter how good you are, if you don't show up, you're going to get an L hung on you. I don't think anybody thought the Broncos were going to lose to Indianapolis or some of these other games, or Atlanta will go into Minnesota and roll them. But that's the nature of the game. If you don't show up, you're going to get beat. You're going to get beat down.
That is the nature of the beast. It is a very week-to-week league. Like, this Packers team could not let Detroit or Washington move the ball or score touchdowns on them. The Lions put up 52 on the Chicago Bears. The New York Giants couldn't get in the end zone versus us, and they put up 40 versus the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. You never know in this league how quickly things change from week to week. So we got to wash this stink off us, but we still have to talk about some more things from that game. It's only 2 weeks in, late. Tackle is not an easy position to transition in this league when you're 21 years old. But my God, Josh Conerly Jr. looked like a liability out there Thursday, and he has raised the question through most of our fan base. Does Washington need to do the shadowing your coworker, your seasoned coworker approach they took with Brandon Coleman and Cornelius Lucas last year? Because Max Crosby's coming up on Sunday late, and Max Crosby is a problem, and it could look a lot like it did with Micah last night if we put Conerly on an island with Max Crosby. I don't know how that ever happens, by the way.
Yeah, so to make matters worse with that whole question and scenario is the fact that John Bates is nicked up right now. So
and he's probably not playing Sunday.
Exactly. So John Bates is a guy that you could put with Conerly on that side and have him chip a lineman or just be there, as backup. Well, you don't have that now. And if we know that, the Raiders know that. And Max Crosby knows that. So again, this is where you need to be creative as an offensive coordinator if you're Cliff. This is maybe where you run at that side of the field as opposed to running away from it all the time. I think Josh is fine. I think he's going to be fine. But yeah, he's being indoctrinated, bro. I said this earlier. I was on ESPN earlier, and I said this. He's being baptized literally at the Vatican, bro, every week.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Not at your local church.
Yeah.
He's all the way at the Vatican, where it all starts. To go up against Brian Burns first week, to go up against Micah Parsons second week.
Baptism by fire.
Yeah, Max Crosby third week. I'm just sitting there thinking about next week when we go to Atlanta. Like, who's on Atlanta that's going to be like this?
They got them 2 rookie first rounders, man. They might get after it, bro. Like,
that's what I'm saying. So, like, I mean, if you're going to put them in there, you got to let them go through it, man. And it's unfortunate that you see a lot of the times now where guys are going by him or using a second and third move on them. But he has to just go through this. I'll say this. If we're going to pin everything on Josh Conerly, that's not good and that's not fair, because
Yeah,
I
it's
see
not.
some veterans out there not looking good
Getting
too.
their ass kicked. Brandon Coleman
Absolutely.
and Nick Allegretti.
Yeah. So again, that's what I'm saying. I'm seeing some veterans do some things that, on both sides of the ball. Now that we're talking about it, that you can't just jump on this rookie who's seeing this for the first time. Some of the guys that are getting their tail handed to them have been in the league multiple years.
There was a
So
play where Tyler Biotish blocks a ghost. Like he blocks absolutely nobody, and the tackle just prances to Jayden. Like, what are we supposed to do there, man?
and that's what I'm saying, man. It wasn't like it was loud at Lambeau, but it wasn't like something we've never heard before, or anything like that. I don't know, man. Their offense was struggling. I mean, it was struggling to get yards. You know what it looked like, man? It looked like if you had taken Jayden off the field and put Sam Howell back there, it would look just like it was 2-3
It
years ago.
felt very EB and Ron Rivera like. And the worst part of it, it wasn't just the scheme, the decision making, the time management. I said, where's Ronald Eugene Rivera on that sideline? Why are we being so lax at the end of the half? We could have had a shot to get in the end zone, and they settled for putting Matt Gay back on the field, who we don't even know is a reliable kicker yet. Meanwhile, I got to watch Red Zone on Sunday. There's about 20 kickers in the league that can go from 60, and our kicker, we have to pray every time he steps out on the field. It just felt like a Ronald Rivera operation on Thursday night.
Yeah, man. That you said it probably as best as you can. It just looked eerily similar to what we've seen for a long time, and I've never seen, since Coach Quinn has been here, I've never seen them look that inept, to not be able to do anything. And if they did do something, a penalty came up. It just,
Sure did.
they couldn't sustain anything. And I don't know what that was. I would like to think that some of it was the travel. Like I said, man, it was brutal getting to Green Bay and getting back, having to drive 2 hours to Milwaukee to fly out. And then my flight was delayed 4.5 hours coming back. I mean, man, it was a nightmare. It really was.
So to close out that offensive line discussion, do you think Wiley needs to get out there, or do we just roll with the rookie and let him take his lumps? Because, I mean, even on the play that Jayden got hurt on, Jayden was forced out of the pocket immediately because McNichols and Connolly missed their assignment against Micah Parsons. You want your rookie first rounder to take his lumps, but also you can't do that at the expense of the franchise quarterback being at risk. He's out there with a sprained knee. You have to be careful. So do you just roll with Connerly and see how he starts and work Wiley into? That's where we've come to, late. Remember how our fans used to talk about Andrew Wiley? Now they're begging for him to get on the football field. Crazy how things change in this league, man.
So this is the thing. This is the risk. If you were to platoon or even move Josh to the bench for a game or two, you could really kill that kid's confidence. And his confidence, like I said, coming from the New England joint practices in the preseason game, you saw the light switch come on, and his confidence started going up and up and up. And he had a relatively decent game against the Giants. You go back and you watch that tape, there were some things that he missed. Brian Burns blew right by him on one occasion. But for the most part, he had a decent game. I like him to think that this game against Green Bay, you just got to chalk it up to everybody. Nobody played well, not just him. You can't single him out like he's the reason why Jayden got hurt. Everybody stunk it up. So I'm going with the kid again. And I want to see development. I want to see a little improvement, because obviously I have to be smart enough to understand Max Crosby's going to get his, because that's just who he is.
Yep.
But you can't let him get his in a way where it's just totally disrupting the game on a play-by-play basis.
And my caution and my beware to that is Andrew Wiley, not the solution that fans think he is. He could be a temporary Band-Aid, maybe a decent price Band-Aid, but put band-aids over bullet holes don't get it done. The talent and the upside is significantly more in Josh Connolly. We just have to find ways to not have him out there on an island getting sacrificed on the football field, because it was looking nasty at certain parts of that game. Like, don't put Josh Connolly on an island on third down by himself with Micah Parsons. And
You just you hope you're praying for disaster by doing something like that. And like I said, Rio, run the football, man. Even if it's not getting you, it's not moving the chains early. Don't abandon it. Keep going at it, because that slows down a relentless pass rush. And I don't know. They did it against the Giants. I mean, Bill had 8.2 yards a carry. I know he had the 42-yarder, but he was running effectively. Jeremy McNichol ran the football in that game. Austin Eckler ran the football in that game. And of course, Jayden did. So collectively, if you can get 100 to 150 yards rushing by committee, and it's not all on Jayden. I mean, we know Jayden's going to get 50 himself. But if you can get to that 150 mark, you should win the football game. But last week, they never gave their running game a chance against a team that was just pinning their ears back, coming every play.
Yeah, you can't pull Connolly. Like, I know fans don't want to hear that shit right now because of the performance parlayed with the Jayden knee injury. You can't pull your first round pick. I'm sorry, you can't pull him 2 weeks into his career.
Heck no. That would be silly to do something like that. He's not. Listen, I know fans get emotional and they put it on their sleeve. I had a guy come in my message board the other day saying that he's ashamed to be a fan, and this is like it's nothing's changed. It's the same as it's always been. They're losers, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I understand they played a bad game, but this isn't week 14. This isn't the NFC Championship game. I mean, they had one of them games. Everybody has one of those games.
They do,
you just got yours out super early, so you don't have to worry about it again. It's not room for, will I say you should be alarmed by some of the stuff you've seen? Yes, absolutely. Worried? Yeah, you can be worried. But to say that the season's over and to say that this team stinks, and come on, man, that's where you got to pump the brakes. That's coming from personal misery, people talking like that.
Yeah, it's not. And also, as fans, we can overreact while we're watching it and then sleep on it for a couple nights. And then you could say, okay, we looked horrible, but it happens in this league. I would rather them get it out the way in week 2 rather than in the NFC Championship again, or in the playoffs, or in a playoff clinching type format later in the season. So while we're critiquing and we're pointing out this shit sandwich of a performance from the other night, we are not saying the season is over. We're not saying Jayden Daniels is having a sophomore slump. Or we're not saying that Josh Connolly will not be a good tackle in this league. He's not Evan Neal because he had a shaky week of football versus a potentially top 2 front and maybe not 2 front in the league right now. You got to roll with Josh Connolly going forward. You got to give the guy some help and get that boy in the damn weight room, because he getting moved around way too easily, man. Functional strength is definitely the issue with him, but I think he's going to be okay. So with John Bates potentially missing this game, you don't want to say addition by subtraction or anything like that, or you go straight into next man up. But we took a tight end in the second round last year, Lake. I know a lot of people forget about it. Is this when we find out is Ben Sinnott's going to be anything for this team?
Well, I know one thing he won't be. He's not going to be the blocker John Bates is. I mean, just
hell no.
Look, that's not to disrespect Ben. He's a good dude. That's my dude. But come on, man. The watch is out for him now. Now, if you want to talk about a draft pick that's not doing what was expected, it's him. It's not Josh Connolly. It's him. It's Ben. And he's got to produce, because like you said, if you're putting all your hopes on the tight end room on Zach alone, that's a problem. That's a problem. Zach's still out there doing this thing. He's eating, but we know what Zach's going to do. Zach's catching the ball and he's going down.
I saw that touchdown. Zach looked like vintage prime Zach.
He did. But if you're expecting that every time, that's not going to be the answer. Zach is consistent. He's steady. He's a vet. But to me, French Hall of Famer. I think you can really say that. However, they need help at that position. They need somebody else that Jayden can put his eyes on and throw the ball to and feel like they're going to catch the football. Is it Colson, Yankoff? I mean, I think he's going to get every opportunity now if John's out, which we think he will be. He's going to get that before Ben does. So if you're Ben, you got to use this as fuel, man, as motivation, because I saw signs back in mini camp, and then sometimes during training camp, you would see Ben make a play, and then you wouldn't hear from him for 2-3 days. And that's the problem. It's like the consistency. It's kind of like with Luke, same thing. You see them do something. Luke did have a catch in the game the other night, there was a sighting there, but you hope you don't, see him disappear for the next 2-3 games. That's the problem that's happening here. So I think, yeah, I agree that if Josh struggles mightily against Max Crosby and company, then you have to think about platooning him. But I don't think at any point do you just flat out bench the kid. I just don't. And I think fans have to really keep in mind who he's going up against. Look, there could be, all pro or Pro Bowl right tackles who would have dreaded these first 3 games if that was on their schedule, knowing who they were going up against, let alone a rookie being indoctrinated into the league. That's rough, man.
Yep, it's very rough. So, and you said this early on the show. We've had a little bit of time. We've been here for 36 minutes now. So to close out the offensive side of things, who do you think is being trotted out on that field to play quarterback for the Washington Commanders on Sunday afternoon?
I think it's Jayden. I do. I just, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I just know the killer instinct that dude has. And one thing I do know about Jayden, knowing Jayden, that dude doesn't like losing. It just doesn't sit well with him, especially when you feel like you were part of it.
Yep. Hell yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like, most of these guys in that locker room, maybe you didn't see it on Thursday, but they are competitive and they do care. So this isn't like the old days where you knew guys were going to be in the club. And I know some of y'all used to see them in the club on Sunday nights after they finished having their face pushed in the dirt. Well, this isn't that group. This is a different type of setup. And when they have efforts like they did the other night, which I had never really seen until the other night, I know it matters to them. And I know guys want to get that taste out their mouth. And I know Jayden's one of those guys. So if he can go and he feels like he can be effective out there, he'll play. I truly believe that. And it would take a lot. It would probably take a Josh Harris call to say, do not put that guy on the field under no circumstances.
Yeah, and that would see me. I'm babying the quarterback. I'm babying the quarterback also because I think Marcus Mariota, go ahead in the revenge game, go ahead and handle the Las Vegas Raiders for us, man. I'm babying him. Maybe it's because I'm a little scorned. There's still a little war flashback in me. But when you say knee quarterback that can run, I don't want to see Jayden out there with this big ass stone cold knee brace on, man.
you thinking you have an RG3 flashbacks.
I don't want to see Jayden out there with this extendo knee brace on.
Listen, man,
he's gonna look like the old heads at the park with the knee brace. I don't want to see that, man. I want to see him normal, man.
I mean, I will say this: when he got hurt last year, totally different part of the body, obviously the ribs.
Yeah.
You saw it affected him. You did. You could see the aggressiveness and the daring type of play kind of scaled down while he was recovering. But they still were in football games. They still should have beat Pittsburgh. They should have beat the Cowboys the following week. I mean, they had the opportunities. Even in the Eagles game, the Thursday night game, they were in the football game, but you could tell he wasn't the same. If they were to sit him, I would not be upset. I can tell you that, because he's the biggest investment this franchise has had in maybe their history. So you have to be smart by that. But I just know I look around and I see guys like Patrick Mahomes playing what did need to play once, like a sprained ankle in the past. severely high ankle sprains, and he's still out there the next week, limping around, making throws. I just think certain guys are so competitive, it would be hard pressed to keep them off the field. And I think Jayden's one of those guys.
Yeah, and I know the eagerness to wipe the stench of Thursday night's performance off, the competitiveness, just as long as they protect him from himself. There is nothing more unreliable than a professional athlete being asked if they're okay. I don't need media asking him, is he okay? Because you know what he's going to tell you. And I compared it to when I was on stream yesterday. Jayden gonna do everything he can to try to prove that he's good to play. Like, you know, when kids learn a little new dance or something and they just want to show it. Hey, Dad, look at this. Hey, look at this flip I'm about to do. Jayden gonna be, hey, look at me run the option. Hey, I'm good to go, man. You see me and Terry running over there. But if he's good to go, play him. But I don't mind Marcus Mariota taking over this week, and if he got to, next week as well. But I know Jayden cut from a different cloth, and he's gonna do everything to get out in that football field.
Listen, man, I think again, when you look up and you see them Eagles at 2-0, and they didn't even necessarily play well, and they're still 2-0. Some guys look at that kind of stuff, man. You know, you don't want to fall too far behind this early in the year in a division that we all think is going to be competitive. Obviously, it starts with the Eagles, but Washington feels like they can be right there. But you can't lose traction because I think you and I both know the Eagles aren't going to lose more than 3-4 games this year. That's just how good they are, how talented they are.
I'm hoping that changes, man. They got the Rams and the Bucks in the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping that they
We'll find out everything. They already knocked off. They already knocked off Kansas City on the road when Kansas City was almost in desperate mode. I'll
tell you what, Hurts gonna have to throw for more than 101 yards these next 2 weeks for them to do it. They can't keep getting away with this shit every week, man.
Hey, see, that's the thing, man. Like, it's funny you say that because I'm sure you saw the clip of him telling your boy saying, you need to get 100 yards. He said we won though. Yep. I mean, that's just what they do up there, man. It's ugly football, but they win games. They won the Super Bowl doing it.
Group project football, man. Everybody gets an A as long as you participated. And they built a roster that's good enough to be able to supersede getting nothing from the quarterback position for 60 minutes of football. The offense gets an F grade for me on Thursday night. I imagine your grade is around the same.
You said yours was a D?
F. An F. No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, yeah. To me, it was an F. It was. I know Debo got one late and Zach got one, and nah, man, it was a terrible effort. If I have to, maybe help the guys a little bit and go D, I could go at D. But as far as coaching, I'm going an F.
Yep, they're going to get an F from me in every bit offensively. As we transition to the defensive side of the ball, here's a word from our sponsors at Sleeper. The NFL season is here, which means you have a chance to win 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy. Football has never been more exciting than it is with players like Jayden Daniels, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Jamar Chase. Pick on stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more. We're up to a 1,000 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right, and you could win big using promo code RIO91. That was promo code RIO91, and you'll get up to a $100 match bonus on your first deposit. Terms and conditions may apply. The defensive side of the ball. So Matt LaFleur has figured something out in Dan Quinn's defense. He's now 4-0 versus Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator and as a head coach since he took over as the Green Bay Packers head coach. They had us schemed up, and honestly, if it wasn't for the 10 or 11 penalties they committed and some self-inflicted mistake, that scoreboard looks way different than 27-18.
100%, man. It's something to be said about the that West Coast offense type setup, as far as how they run things. But I think if you look at like the Shanahan tree, the guys that have come from that, and a lot of them were in Washington, including Matt. Dan Quinn, historically, his teams don't do well against guys from that tree for whatever the reason is. And it showed on Thursday night as well.
It definitely showed. So it was just a bad day defensively. And it started off bad by losing our starting defensive end, Dietrich Wise. I was going to get to the Dietrich Wise and Austin Eckler injuries later, but we're here now. Losing Dietrich Wise, someone who was going to help a lot in the run game, but this just felt like a game where we weren't getting much pressure up front. The only corner who played a decent-ish game is Trey Amos, because Mikey and Marshawn are usually wherever a big play is to be found. And the linebackers, one linebacker is still missing from the 2025 season, while the other one does not need to be in deep coverage 30 to 40 yards down the field. It was a bad performance by the defense as well, and I don't even think the scoreboard truly reflects how bad the performance was.
Nah, it was they did nothing to put any kind of fight into what Green Bay was doing, to disrupt anything they were doing. I mean, you got a tight end having a Pro Bowl career day on you, wide open all the time. And in fairness to that, you can't expect for Bobby Wagner to be, in the middle of the field, chasing tight ends around. We know that's not Frankie's game either. Both those guys are disruptors at the line of scrimmage, patrolling that part of the field. But where are your young guys? And I see somebody here, saying the same thing. I was just about to say that. Jordan McGee, Kane Madrano. They're uber athletic, fast linebackers. Whatever the reason is, they don't trust them at this point. And I can understand maybe Kane because he's a rookie. Yeah. But Jordan shows flashes. I remember in the preseason final game against the Ravens, you saw how fast he was, and you saw that he's a pretty good tackler. But if anything, that's a guy that can run with some of these tight ends. And you have Brock Bowers coming in here this weekend. You can make an argument that he's the best tight end in football already going into his second year. So they're going to have to find something, because clearly the tape shows that Bobby and Frankie don't cover tight ends, and teams are going to attack you in the middle of the field and down the seams if you can't put someone in there to address that.
Yeah, man, it looked bad. Like, they made Tucker Kraft look like the second coming of Antonio Gates on Thursday night. Tucker Kraft went crazy. I never thought I'd see Tucker Kraft get like a 50-yard completion. Like, that's not the style of tight end that he is. He was looking like prime Antonio Gates versus this defense, man. Bobby, that deep in coverage, should just throw that play, throw that scheme away immediately. He does not ever need to be there.
Let's call it out there, Rio. Let's be real about this, man. Joe Witt got to get it done.
Yeah, he got to do better.
We gotta say it now. It's not something you run from. I asked him 2 weeks ago, I'm sure you heard it, about you have your players now. You have the size, you have the speed. Do you feel like your guys now can go out and play that physical brand that you've been wanting and play free and fast? I didn't see none of that. I didn't see free. I definitely didn't see fast. And I definitely didn't see physical. I saw Tucker Kraft running over dudes, extending plays. Something's got to give there, man. Like, the effort wasn't there. And no matter if you were tired because it was a short week or not, your energy was spent having put it all on the line against the Giants. I don't know. But whatever it was, that defense looked like the old days, man. It really did.
It did. And it was not fun to watch. And let's go over to, no. Before we leave the linebacker room, we got to talk about it, bro. I don't know what happened to my demon, but Frankie Louvu has not reported to the 2025 season through 2 weeks so far.
Bro, I you don't even want to joke about it, but for the sake of the show, we will. That joke is on the side of my milk carton in the fridge.
Yep.
I don't know where he is.
Me neither.
And he's whiffing on tackles, just like, what's going on, man? Like, what are you hurt? Is there something going on that we don't know about? Because that doesn't look like anything like the dude we saw last year get to the Pro Bowl. He that's like a different, it's like you saw the movie Who Cloned Tyrone. That's Who Cloned Frankie, because that's not who that is. And they need him. They need him to be in that kind of quasi Micah Parsons role. And I was expecting to see a lot of that from him this year. I don't even know how they're using him right now.
Yeah, I don't know. And it looks like he's just fastly running around he's just out there frolicking on the football field. I've seen him get run over in back-to-back weeks so far. I'm more upset about him getting run over than Trey Amos, because corners aren't supposed to tackle, so I'll let him live, even though he's got run over in back-to-back weeks as well. Frankie Louvu has not sniffed a quarterback, put any type of pressure. He has not had one effective blitz rep in 2 games, and that's a problem, because our defense actually looks different. It looks transformed when he's an impact, because quarterbacks have to think twice about him, and they have not so far.
Absolutely. And I think we were all expecting for him to, his trajectory as far as where he was as a player, he was going like this, man. And I think this year we were expecting for him to become a household name pretty much, around the league as far as a defensive player. You just haven't seen him the first 2 weeks. I mean, haven't seen him at all. It's like he's on the field, but he's not part of the game. And I don't know if that's scheme, coaching, whatever it is, but they've got to figure a way to get their playmakers out to be able to make plays, because, even Marshawn looks like he's reverting back to last year's version, so I don't know what's going on here. Listen. You got a problem on your defense when your 2 best players right now to start the season on defense is the oldest player on the defense and the youngest player, rookie Trey Amos. You got a problem if that's the case, and that's what's going on here.
Yeah, man, it's bad. It's bad. So you just brought him up, so we got to go to the cornerback room. How close are we to Marshawn Lattimore falling into Benjamin St-Juste territory? Because the fans, they're starting to make that juxtaposition, and it's as each week goes by, we're getting closer to. I can't blame you for saying that,
man. Listen, man. Oh, this is terrible. Listen, on my fan show, one of the guys called him Marshawn St-Juste. Yeah, and I was like, you really gonna go there with that now?
Yep.
Fans are calling for it, man. Like I think he's gonna be fine. I just don't know.
What does fine look like at this point of his career?
See, I was just about to say that. See, that's a good point. I just don't know if we're gonna see the New Orleans version again. I just don't think that's gonna happen. And but he's still a good corner. It's just, I don't know, man. Like, when I watch him, I know what I see in practice, and I know what I saw in training camp. That's not it right now. But that's the same thing for a lot of these guys. It's like on Sundays, it's like, what is this mess, man? Like, he looks bad right now. He does.
I don't know if he's good anymore. Like, he has to show me that he's good, because the technique is bad. He can say whatever he wants. Oh, they're running man beaters and they're running motion. Yeah, that's a part of the game. They got y'all running around.
A corner, you got to cover that, man.
Yeah, they're gonna run you around. They know you're in man because you're following in motion. And I don't want to hear anything about any of that, bro. I don't know who Matt Heath is. I don't even know if Green Bay Packers know who Matt Heath is. Matt Heath made a big 3rd down catch on Marshawn Lattimore. Special teams players don't need to be making catches over my cornerback 1 on Thursday Night Football, man. Every time you see a big play, number 2 is somewhere around it.
Yeah, and then the irony is that, you see your rookie covering probably the fastest guy on the field and tracking him and tracking the ball and breaking it up. I know somebody got on me, oh, man, what game you watching? He didn't have to track anything. Jordan Love underthrew Matthew Golden. Regardless, he made the play. And that's what I'm saying. I'm starting to notice this, and I'm sure you've noticed it. Teams aren't really throwing at Trey like that. It's like they have found the mark on the other side of the field. Like, you know what? This rookie, all right, I'm not going towards him. I'm going towards the vet over here. Mm-hmm. They've got to figure a way to get Marshawn. If he needs some help over top, they've got to find a way to do something, because he's being targeted. I mean, you remember the Giants game. They came out they targeted him the
He's a
whole
mark.
time.
He's a mark right now. He's Josh Connerly on the defensive side right now. They are looking for number 2 early and often. Go at him. You're either going to make a play or you're going to draw a flag every time.
That's exactly what I think the blueprint is. The blueprint is he's grabby. Something's gonna happen. And then some of these guys talking to him as well. They just got to find something, man. Like, I still think he's got good football in him. I really believe that. Is he a Pro Bowler at this point in his career? I don't know. Probably not. But I still think he's got good football left in him. But we haven't seen it, and we haven't seen it consistently. A couple of the plays that he gave up early in the game in Green Bay, he was there. It was just, good catches, good throws. That's what happens when you have a Pro Bowl quarterback. But if you told me that Green Bay's receiving core should strike fear in a lot of people right now, that's not the strength of the Green Bay Packers right now.
And their best receiver left the game on the first drive of the game.
Absolutely.
And you're running around with Romeo Doubs and company still getting your shit burnt.
That's what I'm saying. 2 of their 3 best receivers weren't in the game. And they still were getting torched. And it's not, again, I can say this. It's not the rookie that's getting torched. It's the veterans. Mikey's got to make some plays.
Mikey, you could get some of this blame too. You could get some of this.
They got to make plays, man. And it's hard. It's hard for me to come on here and do this sometimes because I got to see these guys in the locker room, and I know they care, but we still got a job to do. And the job is the guys that you were counting on to be lockdown players on defense. They haven't showed up yet. I mean, I'll say this. Duran in that first game looked like all world.
Yep.
I didn't really hear much from Duran in the second game.
Not at all. Jordan Love was very comfortable for most of the game. And before we get off the cornerback room real quick, I just wanted to say, Mikey Sanders, you are not playing good football right now either. You're closer to bad football right now than good football. I don't expect it's going to stay like that. Mikey is a weird case study because he's slotted to be an inside corner. He's, for whatever reason, better at outside corner, and he doesn't look good at either right now. That touchdown he gave up to Romeo Doubs on the slant route, he defended that like he's never seen a split release from a wide receiver before. Just completely guessed wrong, flat-footed, easy touchdown. We put one of our best players out on an island with an okay receiver. You need better effort than that. And on Trey Amos, while he's playing better than the other two, and I love the play he made on 4th down where Jordan Love went for it all. If Jordan Love hits the receiver in stride, that's a touchdown.
That's a touchdown. Jordan underthrew it. He did.
But I love to see the fight, the recovery speed, and the dogness because I ain't seen much dog in that cornerback room so far.
Right, and I got a little theory here. Marshawn's grabby, right?
Yes.
Maybe, and you said it yourself, Mikey just seems better on the outside to me. Maybe you switched them. Maybe since Marshawn, isn't running with folks like he used to.
Marshawn might get cooked in the slot late. I don't even know if you want to
put
him
what out. Though, if anything, he gonna be grabby, and that's what you need with some of them dudes in the slot.
If it get to the point where we gotta put Mikey back on the outside, Marshawn gonna have to switch with Noah or Jonathan Jones, and we're gonna have a conversation about him not starting because I don't want him on the inside at all.
And by the way, Jonathan Jones is in protocol too,
right sure now. Is.
So again, I mean, I will say
the hits keep coming. The hits keep coming.
They keep coming, and you know what? They didn't deal with this stuff last year like that. They didn't have John Allen got hurt and Jayden was nicked up, but they didn't have those debilitating injuries. During the regular season, we know Sam Cosmi got hurt obviously in the playoffs, but they kind of avoided the big injury bug last year. Well, it's catching up. It's reared its head early and often, and to the tune of losing 2 main guys, for the season. And now we hope that it doesn't linger into some more players.
Yeah, we hope it doesn't, because that is more damning than the result Thursday, is that the quarterback got hurt. We lost 2 impact starters for the entire year. Yeah. Noah Brown is on his usual stint on the injury list, and John Bates is going to miss some time. It was like, damn, we couldn't just lose the game. We got to really impact our entire season on that performance. So that's another thing that makes that performance what it was. They attacked us vertically with relative ease. Like, you knew Josh Jacobs was going to get in the end zone. You knew Josh Jacobs was going to get 70 to 90 yards because that's what he does. He scored in 10 games straight. But Jordan Love attacked us vertically like this was practice. It looked like he was running 7-on-7s versus us, or 1-on-1s on the outside. And he had 292 and a few touchdowns. It looked like he could have had so much more. So where was the safety help on Thursday night? Because I saw a lot of defenders getting past the last line of Washington's defense.
Yeah. And, again, from a physical standpoint, Will Harris, Quan Martin had really good games in week 1. Mm-hmm. I didn't see it Thursday again. And it's sad because it's everybody. It's not just them. It's everyone. But specifically from the safety standpoint, I just didn't see it, man. I don't even know. I just don't know what the scheme was supposed to be, because guys were wide open all over the field. Jordan Love, I don't think his uniform got dirty all night. Nope. He stood back there, surveyed the field. He looked left, right, back to the middle. And then, oh, by the way, may have gone back to the right. He was in the pocket, comfortable all night. And we've said this: if you don't get a pass rush, it's going to expose your secondary. It's definitely going to expose your safeties. And they got exposed. In fairness, I will say this. I don't know what they were being asked to do, but it looked like they were so far back that everything was in front of them. Almost like if they were told not to get beat deep. And they still almost got beat deep. And then every time, they weren't bringing guys down when they got to them, too. Mm-hmm. They were getting trucked. They were getting ran over. Again, man, it's hard for me to just single out any group or any one person, because it was all of them. The whole team looked like that Thursday.
And someone mentioned something about the wet field affecting them. They played on the same field. When they had different cleats, than us. I even heard Logan Paulson mention something about a wet field. Like, is that something that affected I'm not shooting them that bail, bro.
Nah, I'm not buying that either. I mean, it was wet. It was an overcast day there, and the sun broke a little towards the evening, but I mean, when I went on the field after the game, it was wet. Make no mistake about it. It's kind of the weather there. I mean, when I got on the field, it was 52 degrees, man. I mean, it was cold. Yep. But that's what you're going to get when you go to the Midwest, northern Midwest at that time of the year. They're in late autumn weather-wise now. I mean, you needed a coat there. Make no mistake about it, a jacket. That's an excuse, man. I mean, it's football. You telling me they never played or practiced on a wet field before? I don't buy that at all.
No, man, I don't want to hear nothing about that. But Joe Witt, I be trying to shoot you some bail. I be trying to stand with you in solidarity, because our fans be ready to sick the hounds on him. We got to see something. If you put this type of defensive performance out against the offense that I watched last night at 10 p.m. on Monday Night Football, where Geno had a 37 quarterback rating and 3 interceptions, probably should have had 5 or 6 interceptions in that game. Genty, who still looks like a lost puppy on the football field, if you somehow become the medical elixir to the Raiders offense, we have some actual things that we need to start having conversations about.
Yes, that's fair, man. And I'll be one of them leading the calls. I need to see something from him now. I need to see this defense, because I have been saying all offseason that this defense has the makings of a top 10 unit from a talent standpoint. I didn't walk away from Thursday feeling like that statement made any sense to me. Like, I'm thinking, damn, like, what did you see? Were you fooled? Maybe I was, because scheme-wise, I don't see a top 10 scheme. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish on defense. Like, an identity. Yeah, you want to be physical, you want to be fast, you want to be free. We hear that all the time. But what is your identity? Like, right. What are you trying to do? When you saw the difference between them and Green Bay, that was fast, free, and physical, if there ever was. The Packers defense fit that description. But more importantly, they played with attitude and emotion. We saw that in week 1, okay? And I do feel better about the week 1 performance, considering that, what the Giants did to the Cowboys. I know they lost that game, but Russell Wilson had what, damn near 500 yards passing.
Yeah, I know.
So you feel better about that. But it's like, okay, which team is it going to be Sunday against the Raiders? Is it going to be the week 1 team that was all over Russell Wilson, made life miserable for him? Or is it going to be the team that had Jordan Love looking like the second coming of Brett Favre in a Green Bay uniform? I mean, he looked like Aaron Rodgers throwing the football around up there.
Yeah, it was.
Which team are we going to get? Joe Witt better hope it's the first one, because if it's the second one at home, yeah, man, these fans really might be calling for him if it's another bad outing.
That's the type of shit that you get boo birds. The boo birds come out. It gets really nasty, really fast. You can't do that when you can't do that versus this Raiders offense, man. You can't do that versus this Raiders offense. But I'm confident that even if it's Marcus Mariota, who gave us 364, 4 touchdowns, no picks, and put his cape on both games he came in last year, I'm confident that Mariota can come and get it done. Potentially, we're playing 2 of his former teams in the next couple of weeks, the Raiders and the Falcons, which gives him an extra set of incentives and motivation for the game. How confident are you if Marcus Mariota has to quarterback this team on Sunday?
I'm really confident, because I still think this is a good football team. I just think that we saw a stinker that's kind of clouding all of our judgment and views right now, because they look so putrid. They did. But I still think they're a well-coached team. I think that they're a good football team. I think they have resiliency there. But they have to be able to come out and back this stuff up, man, because the league has gotten better. Each team is better this year. The NFC is much tougher. You could make an argument the NFC is just as tough as the AFC from top to bottom now. So,
Yep.
They're going to have to come out and play. And these are the games you have to win if you are going to be anything. And that's not to just totally dismiss and disrespect the Raiders, because I think they're going to be a much better team coming in here. But you have to win this football game. This is a must-win football game.
Period. Yep. Because a team with any type of real aspiration, we aren't the Baltimore Ravens who get to lose a game to the Raiders early in the season and just bounce back from it like it's nothing. It happens. It's September, the September woes. It happens sometimes. No, we not at the position we're in right now. We just not only we weren't able to sneak past what we did on Thursday night. See, if that took place at Sunday at 1 p.m., you can kind of sneak past it because everybody's watching their team play. But when you're on an isolated, we wanted the prime time. I wanted the 8 standalone spot 6 prime time game. The whole world saw you open up week 2 and get your ass kicked in front of everybody, and they saw chinks in your superstar quarterback's armor for the first time as a fully healthy quarterback. So bounce back is necessary. I'm not trying to discount an opponent. I would love for this game to look like the Panthers game did last
year. Yeah, man. I think we all would. I think most fans would like to be able to, have their last call for beer at the stadium be to a blowout so they can enjoy the beer.
I'm there Sunday, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what they're gonna want to see. I want to be able to start prepping for my post game early fourth quarter. I just, if this game comes down to the wire, I don't care who's quarterbacking. It's going to be cause for alarm a little bit, man. The Raiders are improved, but Washington should cover their spread. That's just how it is. I don't know if we're going to know what the full spread's going to be because you don't know who's going to be quarterbacking. But I still agree with you that even with Marcus Mariota, they should win this football game. But they've got to go out and prove that. We can't just keep saying every week they're the better team, and then they don't come out and prove it. You can take that loss against Green Bay as just that. They ran into a hornet's nest. That team looks like the team the Eagles need to be watching right now. Okay. Not Washington. I can say that. I still think Washington's going to be one of them teams at the end of the year. But my confidence in that statement is starting to, it's starting to make me reassess that a little bit. I will come out and say that publicly. I'm reassessing that statement. that Washington's going to be there in the end. I predict them to get to the Super Bowl. Are they a Super Bowl team right now? Hell no.
Nope,
But it's only week 2 that they just lost this game, and they're still 1-1 now. It's not like they're 0-2. They're not Kansas City right now where they got to get a win in the worst way. But if you want to be who you think you can be, you have to win this game Sunday. There's no getting around it. If you lose, you can't say, it was just week 3. No, if you lose Sunday, that's a bad L. And we'll be talking about that. So they got to win this game.
Yeah, that's the type of adversity I want no parts of as a fan, because I thought we've moved past that. We cannot lose this game. So my main takeaways are: 1, this team struggles on Thursday Night Football. If they have to travel in 4 days, I don't see good things happening, and it's making me look at Christmas Day a little differently now, even though we play on Saturday the week before. We've seen this team on Thursday Night Football twice. I know Jayden had broken ribs last year, but he didn't look like himself. He definitely looked like he needed to bite into a Snickers that day as well. So, and it also showed me that there may be more credence to this oldest team in the league shit than I've given it so far.
Yeah, especially at key positions, man. Like it is starting to show its head a little bit. I think you can discount Bobby at his age because he's still playing at a high level. He really is. When is supposed to do what they need him to do. They don't need him covering tight ends 30, 40 yards down the field.
Ever.
Like whatever play is in your playbook that calls for Bobby Wagner to cover a tight end down the field like that, scrap it. You don't need that from him. Whatever plays calling for Frankie Louvu to cover a tight end 30, 40 yards down the field, scrap it. Let's get these guys doing what they do best. And that's what the motto has always been. We're going to have guys doing things that they're comfortable doing, that they're good at, and not have them doing things that they're not. Well, why are you having these guys cover tight ends? Let's kill that, and let's get some of these young pups, Kane Madrano, Jordan McGee, Ali Cajo. Let's get some of these guys on the field that, can move, because that's what you're going to need right now.
It's been Tell the Truth Tuesday with Lake. There's been a lot of truths being told today, a lot of critical analysis about the team. Let's try to end on some love. Deebo Samuel has looked really well for us in 2 weeks, and he is very close to taking one of these kicks back to the crib.
Yeah, I think for my money, from the offensive side of the ball, Deebo's been their best player, to start the season. He's been the most consistent. And you would like to think it's just going to get better when, and hopefully they get Terry more involved in the offense, and not just stationary, sitting him onto the outside like we talked about earlier. So, yeah, and even on the special team side of it, I don't know if I want him doing that anymore, though, because you can't afford an injury off that. And I know that might be sounding playing scared, but sometimes you got to protect your investments, in that regard, too. Like Jalen Lane looks good to me as a punt returner. That's something that he did in college. He's excelling at it. But you got 2 of your main wide receivers returning kicks.
You kind of need them there, because this team needs a spark. Like, someone got to take something to the crib. Like Deebo, I thought Deebo gave us the spark that we needed. He starts the second half off by taking the kickoff into Green Bay territory, gets it past the 50, and he was very close to turning that corner and taking that to the crib.
And there's a couple times even with Jalen that he's a step or 2 away from popping a big one himself. I think he's averaging like 16 yards a return, so he's doing okay as well. But man, if something happened to them, look at that wide receiver room now. No Noah, Luke is physically out there.
Luke's Luke.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like you really can't afford that. Terry's still, I think Terry's back now. I don't think that there's any more. He's working his way back into it. I just think his coaching staff, Cliff's not helping Terry, get doctrinated back into the offense. You got to do a better job with number 17.
Yeah, we need to do one of those drives where, after the Eagles will get questioned about not getting A.J. Brown the ball, or if a superstar goes a couple weeks without target. You know how they take like one drive or like a whole quarter and just force the football to him? We need to have one of those, because I can't have Terry. The season started exactly how it started last year, and Terry be out there looking like a decoy. I don't need Terry out there looking like Luke McCaffrey.
No, we need him out there being who he is,
Yes.
and let's face it, if you were to ask me like what's missing from this team, I would say they're missing Terry's toughness, and they're missing Terry's, positive energy.
Yep.
When Terry's involved, he's amped up as he should be, and he gets everybody involved. They feed off that energy. Well, his body language and energy right now looks frustrated, because as he should be, because they're not doing enough to get. You just paid him this money. You didn't pay him to stand on the side. You didn't pay him to not be on the field on a fourth down.
Right.
You paid him to be the guy. So get the man the football. I'm on Terry on Terry's side on this one, man. For everybody out there that thinks I'm critical of Terry, I'm on Terry's side, man. Like, they're not doing him any favors right now, and you need number 17 if you're gonna go anywhere. We've been saying no Super Bowl, no Terry, no Super Bowl. Well, you know what? Terry's there, but they're not getting him the ball. I just have a problem with it.
Yeah, whatever you got to do to get Terry the ball, you force it, because I can't see any more of what I've seen so far this year. Under 100 yards total and no touchdowns through 2 weeks. Week 3, the team turned up last year. I need a deja vu repeat type performance, and we're not trying to overlook anybody that's on the schedule this year. The Raiders are that team we need to get right on. Point blank, period. And I don't care which guys out there at quarterback, that those things need to happen.
Yeah, you got to get this one. Must win, Rio. This is a cold red game, in my opinion. You have to have it. You cannot fall 1-2, and someone could say, "Oh, well, they lost to a Super Bowl contender." And what about the Raiders? They're not a Super Bowl contender. They're a team that's building for something. But you said it yourself. I watched that game last night, and that Chargers defense was all over Geno Smith. So if you're Washington, you're home, you're back home. You've had 10 days from your last game. So you've had 10 days to hear, like, what's going on in Washington? What's wrong with these guys? They don't look like what they were expected to look like. You have every opportunity to answer the bell and get things back on a positive track, and especially with the fan base.
Yep, it was Terry's birthday yesterday. I need a TNT performance on Sunday. I need Terry, and I need turnovers. If they can't force a turnover versus Geno Smith, we may not force a turnover all season late, because he was giving out gifts all night to the Chargers. It was
Halloween,
defense.
Man. That's what I'm saying. Like, and if you're Washington, put your mask on and keep your bag open, and get that candy, because you need it. They're due for something, right? You would think they are. If you can't get it this week, I agree with you, Rio. You might not ever get one.
Yeah, it's a long week, because Geno is definitely going to take his chances, his shots. We need some pressure up front. But Terry and turnovers are things I need to see this week. Lake, let folks know what you got going on this week, what the team's practice schedule is looking like, and where they can find you, follow you, and subscribe to your channel.
Yeah, just back at it. Tomorrow we'll be back at practice, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Obviously, all eyes are going to be on Jayden and seeing if he can do it. I don't even expect to see Jayden out there tomorrow. So I'll just put that out there. As far as myself, you can check me out on social media, Lake Lewis Jr. That's on all social media carriers. You can check out my show, the Lake Lewis Jr. Show, and it'll be back on this coming Tuesday, back on Radio 1 in DC. If you live there, you'll be able to hear it on WOL. AM and FM radio up there. And on Tuesdays early, I go on VTN Sports, that's the CBS affiliate, going with them in the morning. And then I leave to travel in studio for ESPN Radio, where I have a segment there. Yeah, man. And then, of course, you can check me out on CBS 6 as their NFL insider. And then you can check out some of my stuff on heavy.com.
Absolutely. Y'all heard the guy. Y'all know what it is. Rio_Robinson 91 on social media. Tomorrow, the team gets back on the practice field. I know y'all going to be refreshing your timelines all week. Guys, I think this is the week that we are fine either way we go at quarterback. Obviously, I'm going to be out there with my son at the game this week. He hasn't been to a game since the we could be eliminated Browns game with Carson Wentz back in 2022. And he has a much better understanding of the sport. He needs to see a blowout. He needs to see what it's like when we're clicking on all cylinders. And it would be great if 5 was playing. But if not, we still got to do what we got to do this weekend, man.
Yeah, you got a grown man now, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, he grown. He a whole different person now. But I'll definitely holler at you when we get up to the stadium on Sunday late. Appreciate you per usual for coming on the show.
All right, fam. Good seeing you. Take care,
Yes,
brother.
sir. Hail to the Washington Commanders. Talk soon. Everybody breathe.